The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us here at FRC Media as we get closer to Election Day on November 5th. We're speaking to as many candidates as possible so you can make informed decisions when you go to the polling booth. Today we're going to focus on there's only 3 races really locally that are contested. One of them is for County Commissioner. There are actually 2 seats up for election this year, and there are 3 candidates running. 2 Democrats and an individual who is unenrolled. I'm pleased to be joined by one of the 2 Democrats who made it through the primary process. She is Julie Ruggiero. She is making her first run for office. Julie, thank you for joining me. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate your time, and thank you for those of you watching at home. I appreciate your time as well.
So, this is your first time running for office. Tell people a little bit about yourself and
Sure.
why you want to be our next county commissioner, or one of 2.
One of the 2 on the ballot. So a little bit about me. I was born and raised in Somerset. I still live there. I actually bought the house I grew up in from my parents a few years back, so I haven't gone far. I'm right in Somerset, right in the center of town. I went to Somerset Regional, Berkeley Regional. That's where I graduated from in 2012. From there, I went to Bridgewater State University. I graduated 2016 with a Bachelor's of Science. Decided I did not want to use my degree. I got my real estate license. I opened our family's little brokerage that we still have now. We have a team of 10 agents. After that, I actually came right here to BCC, and I graduated from the nursing program in 2021. So I worked shortly at St. Anne's right here in Fall River. From there, I moved to the community so that I'd have more time to spend on real estate and hopefully in the commissioner's office. So I work in Bristol County, mostly in Taunton, in sober homes and also with community patients not every morning, a couple mornings a week, administering medications, making sure everybody's vital signs are stable. And the rest of my day after about 9 is dedicated to real estate and now my campaign to become commissioner.
So, what about the county commission's job do you feel you can do best at, I guess?
So I think right now, this year obviously is very important for many elections, but locally it's really important because not a lot of people know about county government. Just being out in the community during my campaign, people have been asking, what do you do? What could you do for me? So really bringing awareness to the office, making sure everyone in our county and within the communities has a voice. Budgeting is extremely essential. We have over $34 million a year budget this fiscal year. About half of that goes to the agricultural school, Bristol Aggie. The other half goes to maintaining the courthouses and registry of deeds offices. My dad's an attorney, I'm a realtor, so we spend a lot of times within both of those, the courthouses and the registry of deeds offices. Maintaining the integrity of those historical buildings is essential, but making sure we spend our money in the most important fiscally responsible ways to maintain those buildings is very important, and I'd love to be a part of giving back to the community to serve in that role.
A lot of people, as you said, and I have this conversation every 2 years when I interview those running for a county commission, because even though your term is a 4-year term,
right,
but every 2 years there's at least one of the 3
right
that are up for election. There's three members of the commission. So in 2 years there'll be 1 seat open,
right,
and then 2 years after that, if you're elected, you could be up for re-election. So when it comes to county office, some people may say that why do we need county government? Our cities and towns are very strong. How do you respond to that?
I think it's important to keep it local because if it's not, then the voice of the constituents who pay tax dollars towards our budget won't be heard. I think there's plenty of opportunities and plenty of issues that state and federal government needs to deal with, but on a more local level, it's really critical to have this stay in our community. We have one of the few agricultural high schools left in the state. So in order to keep that as vibrant as it is, especially just with the recent renovation and the huge campus build there, county government's essential in order to keep that going and keep money where it needs to be allocated in our local facilities.
Let's talk a little bit about the Aggie School.
Sure.
As you said, that's where a lot of the money goes.
Yep.
Most of the money goes to keep that operation running. In some ways, it's a hidden gem, right? A lot of people may not know. They may have heard of Bristol Aggie, but it's quite the institution with hundreds of students looking to grow. And as you said, there was a big expansion there. I guess with the commissioners sort of being the school committee, if you will, of Bristol Aggie, what do you bring to that part in terms of being not only an outside sort of an administrator, if you will, of funds, but also needing to help drive education policy as well?
So it's great. With the expansion, they were able to add over 200 students a year to the campus, which is incredible. It brings in more revenue. But also connecting with the students, connecting with the faculty, and finding out their needs. In both of my jobs as real estate and as a nurse, I am always on the phone with other professionals, and I think it's really important that we connect with our state officials and what have you for the needs of the school. So being a woman too, over 70% of the student population at Bristol Aggie is female. So having a young female commissioner on the board, I'll be the second one in over 300 years if elected, would be really important, because I want those young women who come back into our county and are active members, most of them turn out to be entrepreneurs right out of high school, to have someone like me to come to express their needs, express, this is working out really well here, but I wish we had that. And same for the faculty, to have someone they feel they can come to, a new set of eyes on the board that they feel I have their best interests at hand. So,
is there also any possibilities to, obviously working with the administration of the school, to maybe tailor curriculum more toward women? I mean, as you said, that's more women there than men. Is that a possibility that you'd like to see? Yeah,
I'd like to see that. I think a lot of times, especially in politics, women's voice isn't always heard, especially young people. For instance, my friends from home, which is a little embarrassing to admit, majority of them weren't even registered to vote this election. And I was on the primary ballot, so I drove them to the polls and I said, you need to find out. They didn't even know if they were registered or not. So they registered that day, they were able to vote. But opportunities like that, we need to have more of a voice, more of a stand in the front of the line. So I think, yes, making sure that women feel equally as heard in the curriculums and making sure they have the same opportunities going forward and giving back to the community once they graduate from the Aggie. So,
you mentioned you'd be, the second?
Second woman.
Second woman?
Yes.
If I remember, was Maria Lopes?
Yes, she was the first.
She was from Taunton, that Taunton area, I believe. So how important is not only that, but also being a younger voice? Not to say that the commissioners aren't doing a good job now, the ones who are there, but it would be a different dynamic, wouldn't it? And what can you bring in terms of your youthful experience?
Just in terms of technology, I actually think my time in real estate is really important too, because we're learning all about renewable energy sources, different ways of doing things in order to save money. We're in charge of the budgeting for the courthouses and registry of deeds, and we oversee their utilities as well. So looking at trends in utilities, how can we keep these utilities down in order to spend our money in different places within the budget for those facilities, and also technology, not like you said, the current commissioners I have a ton of respect for, but at some point they will move along, and we need to know who is up next, who's ready to step up for our generation and take over, the years upcoming. So I think it's really important that I step up to the plate and make sure that people know, just because you're in your 30s and you're a woman, you could still have a seat at the table in these positions, and make sure your voice is heard and money spent wisely. And we're doing everything we can with technology, green energy, to make sure our budget is wisely spent.
The Bristol County is made up of 20 cities and towns, 4 cities, Attleboro, Taunton, New Bedford, Fall River, and 16 towns. There's a lot of diversity there. How do you view, meeting with the leadership in those communities of different sizes and trying to listen to them about what their needs may be?
Sure. So that's the other thing. I think it's important to remember when we're running for Bristol County Commissioner, it's the whole Bristol County that we're representing. So whether I'm from Somerset, New Bedford, Fairhaven, I want to represent the whole county. I spent time in Attleboro, North Attleboro. I know they haven't had a commissioner from that area in a long time. I want everyone to feel represented. So going out meeting with the public is the most important thing. We do spend tax dollars, county tax dollars from each municipality for our budget. So making sure that everybody knows, number one, what we do, number two, their concerns, what they'd like to see done in our office, and bringing that to our meetings. We meet a few times a month, but I think it's essential for every community to be heard and to meet with as many people as possible, and also to form those relationships with our state representatives and make sure that our senators, and make sure that we are involving them and also taking what they're bringing to the table and that they're hearing us back, and so that we can all work together collaboratively.
You know, there's the commission meets, they meet once a week?
About once a week, yes, a few times a month.
And I know that there's an advisory committee which is made up of representatives from the 20 cities and towns.
Right.
That I believe they only meet like once a year to
Right.
approve budgets, I believe,
Yes.
right, going forward. Is there a way to maybe try to motivate them and engage that group maybe a little more to help?
Absolutely, and I think also just making our meetings that we have as commissioners more well-known, posting our minutes on social media pages, making it more accessible online. A lot of people have said, you're running for commissioner, I'm not really sure, what are you even responsible for? So making that more well-known, and also, like you said, maybe meeting more than once a year, because people are, again, spending their tax dollars, and a portion of that, about over $7 million from the county taxes, comes to our budget. So making sure they feel important, and it is, because again, we're running very important buildings, our courthouses, our registry of deeds, and one of the few agricultural schools in the state. So,
are there any other opportunities that, you know, and I've asked this of the other candidates as well, that, you know, county government is not as, I'll use the word powerful, up
Right.
in the Northeast as it is like in the South and other parts of the country. But are there ways that maybe the commissioners can work at being more impactful than what they are now? Again, within the purview of what they can do.
right, yeah, absolutely. So a good example is in Fall River, where they're renting out the old courthouse to the Fall River Children's Museum. I think we could take that a step further, where we can look at square footage of the buildings that we are in use of currently, the other three courthouses and registry of deeds. I gave an example earlier today. I am a realtor, so I used to do all of my closings at the registry of deeds offices. Since COVID happened, we haven't been closing there, and I used to go to the bottom floor of the Fall River registry of deeds often for my closings, looking at the use of that square footage, and could we be doing other programs there for community outreach, whether it's food pantries, as a nurse who works in sober homes, anything we could do for the opioid epidemic, and looking at the square footage there of how we could use those buildings, as well as the agricultural school. They are such a wealth of knowledge, and they have so many resources that could we be using those resources further after the school day ends to give back to the Bristol County?
Yeah. Let me ask you, now that you're campaigning with the last few weeks of time between now and Election Day, have you been able to get to pretty much all the communities? I mean, how's that look like for you? Again, being this first run, it's not like you're running for a town or city office
Right.
where you've got a smaller landscape.
Right.
You've got the whole county. How's that worked out?
It's working out well. I'm figuring from today until Election Day, I won't be sleeping much, but I'm trying to cover as much ground as possible, really just meeting as many people as possible. Obviously the cities, I'm trying to get to as many events, but the towns as well, and just making sure they know what we're running for and why they should vote for me.
Speaking of that, we're wrapping up now. I want to give you an opportunity to speak to the voters of Fall River on why they should consider you as one of the 2 county commissioners.
So thank you for your time. If you're still watching, I really appreciate it. This is your opportunity to elect me, bring change and some diversity into the office, and I'll be sure to make you proud. Any questions at all, feel free to reach out to me. I'm on Facebook, Julie Ruggiero for Bristol County Commissioner, and my email address is ruggieroforcountycommissioner@gmail.com. I'd be happy to speak with you more. Thank you.
All right, Julie Ruggiero, Democrat running for county commissioner. I appreciate your time. Best of luck.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
All right, and thank you for joining us here in FRC Media. Please make a point to vote on Tuesday, November 5th.